This is you. You were born in one of the most forgotten projects, a place where hope evaporates faster than water in the desert. Your parents disappeared when you were barely old enough to think leaving you an orphan in a world where there are only two options: live fighting like a demon or die in silence like a saint. You don't have photos of them. Your only memory is a blurry melody, the sound of a piano that echoes in your nightmares and brings you peace. That obsession pushes you to do crazy things. You often risk your life sneaking into the gated communities, hiding in the bushes just to hear the rich kids practice their music lessons. One day, fate seems to smile on you. You find an old piano in a pawn shop. The owner, a man with gold teeth, who is a total scumbag, tells you it's a gem and costs $200. You empty your pockets and smash your piggy bank. You have exactly $98 money you've saved by starving yourself. The owner pretends to hesitate, acts like he's making a huge sacrifice, and finally accepts your money with a fake smile. You walk out of the store carrying the instrument with a blind euphoria. What you don't know is that the piano has a cracked soundboard and is irreparable. The old man laughs as he counts your crumpled bills, happy to have gotten rid of that junk nobody else wanted. You run home, clutching the piano tight, your heart bursting with music, excitedly thinking, this is going to be an amazing night. Suddenly, a rough burlap sack goes over your head. You feel strong hands dragging you mercilessly. You try to fight back, kicking out, but an icy voice whispers in your ear that if you move one more time, they'll slit your throat. You freeze, trying to stay calm. You realize you've been kidnapped. With a shaking voice, you try to reason with them. You tell them you're an orphan, that nobody will pay a dime for your ransom. You hope they'll let you go out of pity, but they burst out laughing. One of them tells you that's perfect, because they aren't looking for money. They're looking for an easy mark that no one will miss. Terror takes over, but your survival instinct kicks in. You wait a few minutes in silence, then fake a panic attack and scream that you need to take a dump right now, or you're gonna mess up the whole car. The kidnappers, disgusted by the thought of getting dirty, stop the van in a vacant lot on the outskirts of town. They shove you out and tie you to a dead tree, staying back so they don't smell you. But they don't know that an old, scarred-up criminal taught you the art of escaping. You flex your muscles as hard as you can while they tie you up to create a little wiggle room. The second they turn their backs, you break free and bolt into the darkness like a shadow. They're big and slow. You're small and quick. You leave them in the dust in seconds. You're free. But then you stop dead in your tracks. Your piano is still in the car. Any sane person would keep running, but you aren't sane. Without that piano, your life is nothing but silence and pain. A suicidal madness takes over. You turn around and creep back toward the kidnapper's car. They're far off, searching the bushes with their flashlights. With your heart racing a mile a minute, you grab your instrument. You accept your fate and flee back into the night, proving to yourself that you're willing to die for the only thing that makes you feel alive. You get to your hideout, a tin shack that's barely standing. Your hands are shaking from the adrenaline, but you start to play. The keys are out of tune, some don't even sound, and your technique is clumsy, a sonic chaos that would make a real musician's ears bleed. But to you, it's the most beautiful symphony in the world. You enter an absolute trance, forgetting the hunger and the fear. However, in this neighborhood, your music is an unforgivable sin. The neighbors bang on the metal walls of your house, screaming insults and threatening to beat the crap out of you if you don't shut up. Unable to stop your concert, you drag the piano into the dark alley, determined to play under the moonlight. But bad luck is your only faithful companion. You are so absorbed in your broken melody that you don't hear the engine approaching slowly. It's the same van. The kidnappers have returned to your block, not because they were looking specifically for you, but because they need to meet their quota of human flesh and are looking for a quick replacement in the same hunting ground. They spot you. Before you can run a brutal blow to the back, knocks you down, making your blood splatter on the blacktop. The beating is savage, a release of frustration for having made them work double. The more violent of the two, blind with rage, grabs your beloved piano. He doesn't see it as an instrument, but as a club. He lifts it and smashes it against your head. The world turns red. He is about to deal you the final blow with the remains of the keyboard, when the other one stops him dead in his tracks. He screams at him to stop, that if he kills you, they'll have to look for another one, and the deadline is in an hour. It is a cruel irony that your life is saved not by mercy, but by the strict management of some criminals. Half dead with blood clouding your vision and the remains of your dream lying beside you, you are dragged back into the darkness of the van. You wake up in a damp warehouse that smells of stale sweat and despair. Your head throbs with a dull ache, and when you try to remember how you got here, you find a terrifying void. You don't know your name. You don't know your story. The blow has rebooted your brain. Around you, dozens of young guys look at you with suspicion. Suddenly, the metal door crashes open. A huge man walks in a mountain of muscle covered in tattoos. He introduces himself as the instructor. His voice booms off the walls as he announces your new destiny. You are no longer humans, you are recruits in a Hitman school. You're going to learn to kill, or you're going to die trying. A teenager still holding onto the arrogance of his past life stands up. He screams that his dad is an important mayor and demands to be released. The instructor doesn't say a word. He simply walks up to him and delivers a beating so brutal and efficient that the kid is knocked out cold in seconds. The giant wipes his knuckles and says coldly that in here your last names don't mean squat. Immediately he drags you out to the yard under the scorching sun. He orders you to run 10 laps. The rule is simple: if you stop, you get beat. If you fall, you get beat harder. You run until your lungs burn, driven only by fear. Dinner is dead silent. Only when the lights go out do the whispers begin. One by one, the guys say their names and where they're from, clinging to their past identities. When it's your turn, there's an awkward silence. You open your mouth, but nothing comes out. You don't remember who you are. Someone in the dark lets out a nervous chuckle and says, "You have the memory of a goldfish." From that night on, they call you Goldfish. And although you don't know it, that amnesia will be your best defense against the hell that is about to begin. The next day, your descent into hell officially begins. Your alarm clock isn't sunlight, but a military scream at 4 in the morning. The training program is scientifically designed to break the human spirit. You run marathons uphill up the mountain, carrying a backpack full of sharp rocks that tear the skin off your back. At noon, the air fills with the smell of gunpowder and lead, while you practice shooting with live ammo, where a single mistake can cost you your life. In the afternoon, you learn the brutal art of hand-to-hand combat with rusty knives, and at night, you study human anatomy like a macabre surgeon, memorizing the exact location of arteries to know how to bleed a man out in 3 seconds. In this furnace of suffering, cell number 9 becomes your only sanctuary, and your cellmates transform into your only family. To bury their traumatic pasts, everyone adopts new call signs. First, there's the Mouse, a slick thief from the hood with hands that move faster than the eye. He's capable of picking any makeshift lock in seconds and has a supernatural talent for stealing extra rations from the kitchen right under the guards' noses, feeding the group when hunger strikes. Then there's the Bear, a silent giant with a back as broad as a concrete wall. He's the team's human shield, voluntarily taking beatings from the instructors to protect the weaker members of the group. And finally, there's Ghost, a kid who lives in a state of constant paranoia. He always lives in fear of being killed while he dreams, so he never sleeps soundly. But thanks to that, during survival training nights, the rest of the group can sleep soundly. And you are Goldfish. At first, the nickname seemed like a mockery of your lost memory, but soon it becomes the soul of the team. Your damaged brain gives you a weird superpower. You forget physical pain almost instantly. They beat you, you bleed, and 5 minutes later, you're smiling again as if nothing happened. That unbreakable smile is what boosts your brother's morale when they're on the edge of suicide. Brotherhood is forged in misery, sharing sips of dirty water and hiding dry bread for whoever gets punished in the hole. One night, using a piece of sharp glass, you slice your palms and mix your blood in a sacred oath. You swear you'll get out of that hellhole alive, all or none. But you aren't alone in this zoo. While you train your goldfish eyes, watch everything. Cell number 4 is full of psychopaths who enjoy blood. They look at you not like a comrade, but like a piece of meat. Cell number 7 is full of cold strategists who are always whispering and planning betrayals in the shadows. Although the rest of the cells seem harmless, sharing the same misfortune, your gut tells you that in this place, friendship between cells is a luxury that comes with a very high price. 3 months of technical training culminate with a trip in closed trucks deep into the jungle hostile terrain, where the vegetation is so thick it barely lets in any light. The instructor gathers you up, but this time there's no yelling. Just a terrifying calm. He hands out topographic maps, sniper rifles, and live ammo. The order is simple. There are 4 teams at 4 cardinal points, and the objective is to wipe each other out until only one team is left standing. This isn't a street fight, it's a tactical hunt. Your team Cell 9 heads into the thicket. This is where the training pays off. The mouse moves in silence, disarming booby traps left by other groups. The bear hauls the heavy gear without complaining, and Ghost scans the trees, his paranoia turned into a survival radar. At nightfall, you spot Cell 7, the strategists. They're camped out near a river, thinking they're safe. You watch them through the scope of your rifle. You see the face of a kid you shared water with 2 days ago. Your finger freezes on the trigger. Your humanity begs you not to do it. But then you hear a distant gunshot. Cell 4 has already started killing. If you hesitate, your family dies. In that instant, something inside you shuts off. The doubt vanishes and is replaced by a mathematical coldness. You whisper the order to open fire to your squad. 3 simultaneous shots break the jungle silence. The targets drop before they hear the sound. There's no glory, no adrenaline of hand-to-hand combat, just the cold efficiency of a job well done. For the next 6 hours, your team becomes a hit squad ambushing survivors with surgical precision. At dawn, the smoke clears, and you're the only ones left at the extraction zone. The instructor emerges from the shadows. He walks among the bodies of the fallen recruits and gives a slight nod. He isn't looking for bloodthirsty killers. He's looking for professionals who can kill without feeling a thing. He walks up to you, looks into your empty eyes, and names you Captain. He says a good hitman isn't the one who enjoys killing, but the one who feels nothing when he does it. You turn around, and thanks to your Goldfish gift, the trauma of having executed your buddies starts to fade, leaving room only for the next mission. For the next 3 years, your life transforms into a sequence of hits, executed with pinpoint precision. You aren't a gang of rookies anymore. You're a hit squad, an elite tactical unit, where every member is a vital cog. Your coordination reaches an almost telepathic level. On the first big mission, the target is a rival bookkeeper having breakfast in a packed restaurant. You don't go in guns blazing, or put a bullet in his head like in the movies. Ghost positioned on a rooftop 300 meters away confirms the target's ID over the radio. The mouse disguised as a food delivery guy goes in first. You and the bear go in after. The mouse pretends to be a clumsy delivery guy and spills food on the bear on purpose. The bear, acting furious, shoves the mouse, violently throwing him right against the bookkeeper's table. The bodyguards pull the mouse away immediately, but it's too late. In that brief contact, the mouse has already injected a dose of levofentanyl into his thigh, a potent synthetic derivative. You step in as a mediator to break up the fight, and everyone bails quickly. 5 minutes later, the bookkeeper feels sleepy, loses consciousness, and stops breathing completely due to respiratory arrest. Months later, the mission levels up. You have to intercept an armored convoy from a rival cartel. This requires brute force. You use the tactic of cloned cruisers. Dressed in SWAT gear, you set up a fake checkpoint on a back road. When the rival armored trucks stop for inspection, the bear emerges from the bushes with a light machine gun and unleashes a hail of lead that pierces the side armor. In the middle of the chaos, you and the mouse flank the vehicles, taking out any survivor trying to crawl out of the smoking wreckage. No speeches, no sadism, just pure efficiency. On another occasion, the mission demands absolute stealth to take out a kingpin in his fortified mansion. The mouse neutralizes the alarms and loops the security camera system for exactly 3 minutes. You and Ghost climb up the balconies and slip into the master bedroom without making a sound. You approach the bed and inject succinylcholine into the boss's leg, a fast-acting muscle relaxant to paralyze him completely. Then you use the pillow to smother him in silence. The method makes the death look like a natural heart attack. Through 1,000 days and 1,000 nights of blood and gunpowder, your team becomes a sharp sword pressed against the throat of anyone the cartel points at. One night while cleaning your weapons in a safe house, the silence breaks. The mouse, your brother in arms. The thief who fed you in prison looks at you with tired eyes. He confesses that he can't stand the smell of blood anymore. He tells you he saved enough money and has a plan. He wants to flee north, change his identity, and open a small bakery. He speaks to you with a passion you'd never seen in him, describing how the smell of warm bread will replace the smell of fear. He asks you what your dream is. You, with your heart frozen by panic, cut him off immediately. You warn him to keep his trap shut, that those thoughts are poison. You remind him that in this game, the only retirement is death. He looks down, disappointed by your coldness. But you know the walls have ears. However, fate is cruel. The next morning, your phone rings. It's the plaza boss. His voice is calm, which is terrifying. He tells you that the mouse has disappeared with a bag of cash and has been marked as a traitor. The order is clear and brutal. Find him and kill him, or your whole team will pay for his mistake with slow torture. You have no choice. You gather the bear and Ghost. Nobody says a word, but the air in the car is so heavy, it's hard to breathe. You know the mouse better than anyone. You know where he'd go. He isn't heading north. He's going to say goodbye to his mom's grave in the old cemetery before skipping town. You find him there, kneeling in front of a broken tombstone. When he hears your footsteps, he doesn't run. He turns slowly. There is no surprise on his face, just infinite sadness. He knows that if other cartel hitmen catch him, they'll skin him alive. He knows you are his only mercy. The bear looks away, unable to look at his friend. Ghost grits his teeth. It's up to you. You walk up to him. The mouse gives you a weak smile and tells you that at least he tried to dream. He asks you for one last favor. Make it quick. He pulls a crumpled photo from his pocket, a drawing of the bakery that will never exist, and presses it against his chest. You raise your gun. Your hand, which never shakes, now feels like it weighs a ton. The world stops. You remember the starving days in the cell, the shared laughs, the mixed blood. But the survival instinct is stronger than love. You pull the trigger. The shot rings out like thunder, breaking your soul. The mouse falls. You killed him to save him from a worse fate and to save yourself. As you look at his lifeless body and you realize that a part of you, the little humanity you had left, died with him in that cemetery. After washing the mouse's blood off your hands, you lie in the dark, but sleep doesn't come. Your friend's last question echoes in your skull like a damn curse. What is your dream captain? You look at the survivors of your team. You ask the bear what he wants from life. Cleaning his rifle, he answers without hesitation that he wants to be the boss, to have so much power and money that no one can ever touch him again. You ask Ghost. He says he wants to be a legend, the most feared hitman in history. You realize with horror that you are the only one who has nothing. You are an empty shell, a killing machine without a purpose. That night, you decide to use your rank and your contacts in the organization. You track down the old files from the zone where you were recruited. You find the names. The two men who kidnapped you years ago are still alive, spending their crime pensions in a seedy neighborhood. You go for them. It's not a social call. You rip them out of their beds and take them to a soundproof basement. You begin the technical interrogation. Pain loosens their tongues. One of them, crying, begs for mercy and screams that you were just a kid with a broken piano. That phrase, broken piano, acts like a master key in your brain. Suddenly a dam breaks. The smell of gasoline, the sound of wood crunching against your skull, and before that the melody. You remember who you were. You remember that you weren't born to hold a gun, but to create music. The memory hits you with the force of a tsunami, bringing you to your knees. You walk out of that basement, leaving the two men behind. They don't matter to you anymore. You drive straight to the most exclusive music store in the city. The The salesman looks at you with fear because of the way you look, but he shuts up when you put stacks of stained cash on the counter. You buy the best grand piano they have. A shiny black monster that costs more than your entire life. You install it in your safe house. You sit in front of the keys. Your hands full of calluses and war scars shake. You play the first note. The sound is pure perfect. And there you stay, playing day and night, ignoring the cartel's calls. Ignoring the hunger, trying to recover in every note the years that violence stole from you. One day, the team gets an unusual order. It's not about taking out a person, but blowing up a luxury vehicle parked in a neutral zone. It looks like easy money. Using the usual coordination, Ghost keeps watch, you plant the plastic explosives, and detonate the target from a distance. Mission accomplished. On the way back to base, you ask to be dropped off downtown. There's a one-time concert by an international pianist, and for the first time in your life, you put your passion before duty. Your buddies make fun of your hobby, tell you they'll hold onto your cut of the money and leave. You don't know that that's the last time you'll see them alive. The car you destroyed belonged to an untouchable lieutenant from the cartel itself. The big boss, fearing an internal coup, ordered the attack and decided to use your team as the perfect fall guys to smooth things over. While you sit in the velvet seat waiting for the music, your brothers arrive at the base expecting a party, but are welcomed by a hail of bullets from automatic rifles. They die without even unholstering. You're still alive only because of a musical coincidence. But the peace is short-lived. Your phone vibrates in your pocket, but your predator instinct, tuned by years of paranoia, kicks in before you can answer. You notice shadows moving at the theater exits. Men in baggy clothes and nervous looks blocking the doors. Your cell phone GPS gave you away. They know you're here. Instead of going out through the lobby where they're waiting to execute you, you run towards the service exits backstage. Crossing a side door, you bump into one of the shooters. Despite his ski mask, you recognize his eyes. It's a colleague you trained with years ago. The betrayal is absolute. You punch him in the throat before he can call it in on the radio and get out to the side street. You toss the phone into a passing garbage truck to throw off the satellite tracking break the window of the first sports car you see hotwire it and floor it, leaving your dead team behind and becoming a ghost once again. The engine of the stolen sports car roars under your feet like a wounded beast as the speedometer hits 125 miles per hour. In the rearview mirror, you see 3 black armored SUVs closing in like sharks on the blacktop. Bullets start hitting the body, sounding like metallic hail. But you don't feel fear, just absolute focus. You know these men. You probably taught them how to drive yourself, but today you're going to give them their last lesson. The first SUV tries to ram you from the left to run you off the road. It's a rookie mistake. You wait until the last second, slam on the brakes, and crank the wheel hard. The attacker loses control from the momentum and smashes violently into the guardrail, turning into a fireball that lights up the highway. 2 left. You gun it again, weaving through night traffic with a flow that seems supernatural. Civilian drivers lay on their horns in terror, but to you they're just moving obstacles on a high-speed chessboard. The second SUV tries to shoot out your tires. You calculate the distance. You see a semi in the right lane. You fake left acting like you're gonna pass, and when the SUV follows, you cut hard to the right, missing the semi's bumper by inches. The cartel driver doesn't have your reflexes. He plows right under the trailer with a deafening crash of twisted metal. Only one left the leader of the hit squad. He stays glued to your rear bumper, pushing you, trying to make you spin out. You feel the impact, the smell of burnt rubber and gas. Your hands fuse with the wheel. You enter a long tunnel. The artificial lights flicker. You kill the lights, becoming invisible in the dark for a second. The pursuer hesitates. That's all you need. You slam on the brakes and pull a 180, ending up face to face with him while driving in reverse. You see the look of terror on his face through the windshield before firing your gun through your own rear window. The bullet hits the driver, and the last SUV flips until it explodes. You've left a graveyard of metal and fire in your wake. The wind hits your face through the broken window, and the sea stretches out to your right like a promise of freedom. You let your guard down and promise yourself to leave the past behind and live a new identity. You'll be a pianist. But fate has one last cruel joke. Suddenly, a small figure comes out of the bushes chasing an old ball. It's a kid paralyzed by fear in the middle of the road. Time stops. Your lizard brain trained for years to kill screams a clear order at you gun it. If you break or swerve, you die. It's the pure logic of survival. The obstacle in front is just a little speed bump on the road to your freedom. Keep going straight. You curse yourself and crank the wheel violently to the right. The tires screech like hell, and the car loses control, crashing through the barrier and launching into the abyss of the dark ocean. You decide to die as a pianist rather than keep living as a hitman. As the car falls, you look in the rear-view mirror. The pursuers have slammed on their brakes at the edge of the cliff. They don't just want to see you fall. One lifts a portable rocket launcher onto his shoulder. They want to make sure there's nothing left of you. The flash of the shot lights up the night. The missile whistles through the air and explodes right behind your car a few meters from the water. The explosion is deafening. The shockwave pushes the car down with brutal force. The impact against the sea feels like hitting a concrete wall. Your head hits the steering wheel. You feel a sharp crack in your skull. Freezing water starts to flood the cabin, mixing with the blood running down your forehead. Your eyes close. There is no pain, just a deep silence, a blue that wraps around you as you sink to the bottom, finally far from the noise, the bullets and the memories.